For this final project, we wanted to analyze a movie in which the main characters were women. We wanted to see how comfortable they were using power.
That is why we decided to analyze a movie called The Devil Wears Prada, in which the narrative revolves around women. Both the main and the sub-characters are women.
We believe The Devil Wears Prada offers working women a strong role model in the character of Miranda, one of the main characters and editor-in-chief of the fashion magazine. Miranda at all times expresses female power with every verbal and non-verbal action. Her gaze is confident and direct. Miranda exudes power.
All of her mannerisms and behavior are used to visualize female power. For example, her quietly powerful voice, her use of crisp, dismissive language, and her expressive face.
We learned that gender is the social construction of how men and women should behave, what they should value, and so on. Through the analysis of the movie, we found a message of feminism which is all about the notion of empowerment and change through equal opportunities, equal employment, and equal voice.
Miranda is a power feminist. Her character provides a role model for other women. She emphasizes that it is okay for women to have power and use it. It is okay for a woman to put herself first. It is okay to use power to advance your career. It is okay to use power to advance other women in their careers, and women do not have to be nice in order to use power and be successful.
These aspects can be observed in the following excerpts of the movie, in which we will analyze the conversation in terms of Haim's ethnographic framework speaking. Also, we will analyze how they protect each other's face or level of politeness, and the grace maxims and how they are violated.
In order to analyze this scene in terms of ethnographic framework of Haim's, we will consider these aspects.
Sitting and scene that refer to where the talk takes place.
Participants, that is, the descriptions of the members of the conversation.
Ends, that refers to the reason why the conversation is taking place.
Act sequence, which refers to the order of the interaction.
The key, that refers to the emotional tone presented in the conversation.
Instrumentalities, that include the code and channel of the conversation.
Norms of interaction and interpretation. The first one referring to the rules for interaction or prescribed other orders, and the second referring to the common knowledge that the participants should share in order to interpret what is going on.
And the genre, that refers to the type of event where the conversation takes place.
February, back of the issue. Did anybody speak with Salma's people yet?
Yes, but she'd rather do a summer cover because she has a movie coming out.
Also, I'm pulling the Tubin piece on the Supreme Court woman, and I need to see a new draft on that piece about shopping for a plastic surgeon. It's dull. And this layout, the Winter Wonderland spread, not wonderful yet.
Okay, I'll look at it.
What about Testino? Where are we on that?
Zach Poston's doing some very sculptural suits, so I suggested that Testino shoot them into the Gucci garden.
Perfect. Thank God somebody came to work today. What about accessories for April?
One thought I had was enamel, bangles, pendants, earrings.
No, we did that 2 years ago. What else?
Well, they're showing a lot of florals right now, so I was thinking I could
Florals? For spring. Groundbreaking.
We thought about shooting them in an industrial space. We thought the contrast between the femininity of the florals and the more raw, rough background would create this wonderful tension.
No.
Which?
Does anybody else have anything I can possibly use? Antibacterial wipes, perhaps?
In this way, talking about setting, the interaction takes place in a meeting office.
On the other hand, there were 9 participants in the conversation and everyone had a distinctive role in the company as follows.
The editor-in-chief has full responsibility in making sure the magazine's staff runs in an orderly, effective manner to ensure the productivity of the magazine. Also, she has the overall authority over all daily functions and issues that arise in the production of the magazine.
The administrative director is responsible of all administrative work, collecting funds, administrating paperwork, and assisting the editor-in-chief in any way.
The advertising director is held responsible for keeping a lasting relationship with former companies, stores, and corporations that work with the magazine. They are also responsible of creating strategies that will aid in promoting the magazine toward receiving more advertisements as well as for generating ad sales.
The copy editor is responsible in correcting each error in a punctual and orderly format, as well as in returning the articles to the editor-in-chief for final approval.
The cosmetology director is in charge of contacting various models for the photo shoots in preparation for makeup application and hair refinement.
The layout editor assistant is responsible for making sure that the layout of the magazine is unique, creative, and professional, as well as for organizing the layout of the magazine in an strategic and orderly format while keeping to a timely schedule.
The marketing director is responsible for all forms of publicity, creating flyers, posters, banners, etc., as well as for their distribution. They are also responsible for events planning.
The photography director is responsible in making sure that there is a member of the photography staff present for each photography session. They must have creative and presentable backgrounds for each photo shoot.
The styling director is responsible in making sure to contact the various models for the dressing sessions, as well as for creating strategic ways to organize the dressing sessions so they will be organized and orderly.
The relationship among all the participants was exclusive or related. In addition, it was given in a hierarchical way where the head and her subordinates were discussing work issues. 6 of the participants were women and 3 were men. Their ages vary from 25 to 60 years old, and the social status they presented seemed to be middle and upper class.
The purpose of the interaction was to check advances of the plan for the next issue of a magazine.
The sequence observed during the meeting consisted in an absolute Miranda's control of the interaction. In this way, she will ask about the progress of the issue to a specific subordinate. They will explain their ideas and advances about the subject matter to conclude with the feedback from the editor-in-chief.
The emotional tone of the interaction was serious since it was work-related and due to Miranda's imposition.
The code used in this conversation was English language, and for the channel we observed verbal and non-verbal expressions in a face-to-face system.
The norms of interaction observed during the meeting were that the editor-in-chief spoke first and she controlled the meeting by asking direct questions to the subordinates indicating who should speak next.
In a similar way, since the subordinates already knew Miranda and her expressions, once she claimed the word no, there was nothing else to say or discuss in that respect. On the other hand, the gazes she used were interpreted by the subordinates as if they were saying something irrelevant for the purpose of the interaction.
The type of event in which the interaction takes place is a business meeting, and this genre was kept through the entire interaction.
According to the aspects seen in the course, when we learn that politeness is one of the constraints of human interaction whose purpose is to consider others' feelings, establish levels of mutual comfort, and promote rapport, what we think is appropriate behavior in particular situations in an attempt to achieve and maintain successful social relationships with others, and that any communication is a risk to face. It is a risk to one's face. At the same time, it is a risk to the other persons. We have to project carefully a face for ourselves to respect the face rights and claims for other participants.
During this meeting, we also identified Miranda's dominant position during the turn-taking and her direct interrogative speech.
For instance, she uses, "Did anybody speak with Salma's people yet?" in order to control the meeting.
She also uses interrogatives in the meeting, for instance, "What about Destino? Where are we on that? What else? And does anybody else have anything that I can possibly use?" By asking questions, she decides who the next speaker is.
Besides, as a boss, Miranda uses a lot of direct negative judgments. For instance, the single word "no," "it's dull," "not wonderful yet," and Miranda uses sarcasm when she says "groundbreaking" to mock the lack of creativeness of her subordinate.
So, taking in consideration these aspects of politeness and risk to face, we can say that these interrogatives, instructions, and negative judgments are face-threatening acts, and that they damage the face needs of recipients. Negative face involves one's freedom of action and freedom of imposition, and positive face involves the need to be liked or accepted.
Therefore, those direct interrogatives and instructions will damage the negative face of the subordinates since Miranda is imposing on them. Also, her direct negative judgments will damage the positive face of the recipients and damage their public self-image. These face-threatening without any mitigation are defined as impolite behaviors.
To sum up, according to the concepts seen in the course, we identify the following. During the meeting, the subordinates presented a positive face by showing their need to be liked or accepted because they wanted to please Miranda.
In contrast, Miranda showed her negative face because she expressed her need for freedom of action or independence by interrupting her subordinates abruptly and not showing solidarity.
And finally, Miranda's negative politeness was perceived since she did not offer friendship, nor did she use compliments and informal language, but she used negative judgments and imposed on her subordinates and treated their face.
Another aspect we came across several times while watching the movie was the breakdown of communication. We found interesting to analyze the cooperative principle, which is the basic underlying assumption we make when we speak to one another. It means we are trying to cooperate with one another to construct meaningful conversations.
This assumption explains two things: why speech errors are often ignored in conversation. As long as the meaning the speaker is trying to get across is clear, the listener usually gives them the benefit of the doubt or focuses on the meaning.
Why we can find meaning in statements which, on the surface, seem ridiculous, untrue, or unrelated, rather than assuming that our conversational partner is lying, crazy, or speaking at random. We assume they're trying to get across some meaning, and we can figure out what the meaning is.
The cooperative principle is ruled by the Rice's four maxims, which are quantity maxims, that refers to making the contribution as informative as required, not saying too much or too little.
Quality maxim states that what is believed to be false must not be said.
Relation maxim refers to being relevant and staying on topic.
And finally, the manner maxim states that ambiguity must be avoided.
In this connection, flouting or the clearly violation of the maxims were identified in some clips of the movie.
I think she likes it.
Oh my God! This is the new Marc Jacobs! This is sold out everywhere. Where did you get this?
Miranda didn't want it, so
We believe Lily seemed to have violated the maxim of quantity, which holds make your contribution as informative as is required, since no one asked Lily about the creator of the bag and what edition the bag was. So the implication is that even when nobody asked her, Lily wanted to say that this bag is the newest edition which had been released by the brand of Marc Jacobs.
okay. You think my clothes are hideous, I get it. But, I'm not going to be in fashion forever, so I don't really see the point of changing everything about myself just because I have this job.
Yes, that's true. That's really what this multi-billion-dollar industry is all about anyway, isn't it? Inner beauty.
Nigel Sutherland seems to have violated Grace's maxim of quality, which says, "Do not say what you believe to be false," because since Runway was a fashion magazine, people working there had to wear fancy clothes. Fashion industry is concerned with external physical appearance rather than internal qualities such as inner beauty, which was what Nigel said. We believe this was in opposition of what he meant, so his utterance was an irony. The implication here is what he really wanted to say is that being a smart person will be nothing in the magazine without having a stylish appearance. He wanted to tell her how naive she was and hoped that she would realize and change her style.
What are you doing here?
Well, I think I could do a good job as your assistant. And, yeah, I came to New York to be a journalist and sent letters out everywhere, and then finally got a call from Elias Clark and met with Sherry up at Human Resources, and basically it's this or auto universe.
Paying attention to Andrea's utterance, she said that she got a call from Elias Clark, which was a group management. She seemed to have violated the maxim of manner, which says avoid obscurity of expression. It would be impossible if the Elias Clark called her, since it was the name of a group management, not a people's name. The implication here is that she wanted to say that someone called her and that person was working in an office at Elias Clark's building. Andrea told this way because she considered that Miranda knew what she meant, so the figurative language was used to make the conversation brief.
All the previous examples which show the flowering of maxims to create implications can be a powerful and creative way to get across a point. So sometimes saying a little while implying a lot is a way to save time and communicate more efficiently.
This analysis about the Himes ethnography framework, the level of politeness, and Grice's maxims help us to build our critical and reflexive skills and understand language functions and variations in different social contexts.
That's all.